Hi, my name is Andy Kaufman. I'm a keynote speaker and author and executive coach and host of the People and Projects podcast. Thanks for checking out our new e-learning program entitled The Dirty Little Secret of Business. So let's get right down to it. What is the dirty little secret of business? It's certainly a very provocative title, but a little background on it first. I've had the opportunity to do training in actually every continent of the world, short of Antarctica. I haven't figured out a way to do that yet. But whether I'm working with a technology company down in Brazil or a petrochem company over in Australia, over in Africa, it was a company that's trying to rid the continent of AIDS, all kinds of companies in Europe and North America. But you know what I found? It doesn't matter the industry or the location. The leaders that I work with, what I find is a common theme throughout it all is the dirty little secret of business. Is that it's all done on relationship. Now, I suppose it's not dirty, it's not little, and it's not a secret. Certainly, you've heard it before. It's not what you say. What is it? It's how you say it. It's not what you know. It's who you know. We know this. But this is what I find, is that a lot of us, though we know it, though we realize that our next job or our next promotion, our next opportunity to go to that next level in our success, it depends on the people that we know. There's all kinds of problems that get in the way. How about time? I mean, if someone invites you to a networking event, is your response, "Oh, great, I can't wait to go"? No. If you see a book on networking, don't you look at it and say, man, I know I need to read this, but who's got time to do it? But even beyond time, there's other issues like, I didn't get the people gene. You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes people feel like, I'm not wired up to some extroverted person. I didn't get the people. I don't have the people skills. Or, I get that my job and my opportunities depend on these people over here, but these are not easy people to get along with. I just work with very, very difficult people. I know that's an obstacle as well. And then there's just the tools, right? I mean, you know about LinkedIn, you know about Twitter, you know about all these different ones, but how do we use it? What I find is there's all kinds of problems, there's all kinds of barriers to actually going off and developing relationships. Well, in this program, what I do is I take all these lessons learned from working with over 200 executive coaching clients and through my own personal experience to help you take the next step in your career by developing relationships. In fact, in the program, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get practical relationship building strategies that can be used even if you don't feel like you got the people gene. You know what? Here's the deal. Introverts and extroverts, you're both going to benefit. In fact, one of the lessons you're going to learn has to do with, how do you build rapport with somebody? You know, one lesson, this comes from Dr. Robert Cialdini, is to have repeated contact under positive circumstances. Now think about that for a second. Think about someone you have to work with in another part of the business. Sometimes it feels like the last thing I want is repeated contact with them. I want less contact with them. And so what happens is you get infrequent contact under unfavorable circumstances. When it's stressful, when you're talking about delivery or problems. Well, I'll walk through the process. What are some ideas that you can have frequent contact under positive circumstances? That builds rapport. Something else you'll learn in this program is some scientifically proven methods to improve your ability to influence people even when you don't have authority over them. You know, there are ways that you are more likely to be liked by people. Now you might think, is it important to be liked by people? Well, that's true. You can go out of your way to try to be liked, and that can lead to bad things. But you know what we found? Is that if people like you, if they trust you, and they respect you, they're more likely to be influenced by you. And in this program, I'll go through some very specific, scientifically proven ways that you can improve your ability to be liked and trusted and respected. Also in the program, we'll talk about what networking is, and it isn't, and what's the difference? Why does it even matter? You know, sometimes people just hear this word networking and they're just like, give me a break. Here's the deal. If I get an invite to a networking event, that's what I'm feeling inside. It's like, give me a break. I don't have time for this. Well, networking is not some sleazy sort of activity where it's me shaking hands with somebody else trying to get their business card and trying to get stuff from people. So in the program, we'll talk about what it is and what it isn't and why that difference makes all the difference. We'll also talk about, which relationships are most critical to your success and which ones do you need to seriously consider maybe spending less time with. You know what? here's my experience. Most people don't realize how impacted they are by the people that they spend the most time with. You know, that's true for me, it's true for you, it's true for our children if you have kids, it's true for everyone. We are impacted probably far more than we realize. So in the program, I go through a way of helping you analyze what are those relationships? Who are those people that build you up? They make you better, they encourage you. As opposed to the other people, and you can probably think of some people that are like this, that they tear you down, or maybe they're more often sarcastic. These are people who are trying to be better at your expense. So we'll talk about how to analyze that and how to think of your inner circle. These are the people that you have to rely on. You don't need many of them. But then your go-to group, this outer group of people that if you have a question, you don't just rely on Google and the internet. You've got somebody you can get on the phone and say, you know what, I've got a question about this, and they can give you expert insight. In fact, maybe even biased insight. An example I give in the program is my sister-in-law. She's a wonderful person. She's a physician. She's a pediatrician. Well, here's the deal. If we've got an issue in our family, before we call our own doctor, often we'll call her. Now, we know she's biased, but she's biased in our favor. She's part of our go-to group. When we need someone to go to, and it's medical related, we call Mary. We'll talk about who's in your go-to group, and how do you go about developing that go-to group as part of this program. We'll also talk about how do you change the way you're perceived. You know, I was working with a coaching client, and in their first discussion, one of the things he said was, you know, Andy, I feel like I'm being treated like the class clown. Isn't that interesting? The class clown. You know what I told him? I told him, you know what? You're being treated like the class clown because you're acting like the class clown. And through this program, what I'll do is give you some hints on how do you go about changing those areas where you're being perceived differently than you want to. Okay? It's not about faking it, but it's perfect. It's on purpose, thinking through what are the ways to manage how I'm perceived. Also in the program, we'll talk about how do you develop these relationship building strategies. You know, here's the deal. You need a strategy. You can't just wing it. In fact, what I find is when I just wing things, nothing changes as another year goes by. In fact, in the program, I'll even share my relationship building strategy. You'll see it exactly. In fact, you can use it exactly if you'd like, or you can just adapt it to your own needs. But you have to have a strategy to be effective at it. And then finally, how do you use social networking tools such as LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook? And how do you do it to get a maximum benefit with a minimal effort? You know what I find with LinkedIn, for example? I find a good majority of the executive coaching clients I work with, they go into LinkedIn when they get an invite, and then they go right back out of it. They don't do anything while you're in there. Well, you know, there's things like the Answers module within LinkedIn that I'll tell you about in the program that you can actually build online credibility. I'll tell you how to use your profile, even your picture, to help develop relationships, develop your online brand. I'll also tell you about a tool called Ping.fm. It's a website, P-I-N-G, Ping.fm. Check it out. You know what I do is I link my LinkedIn ID, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Plaxo, and a bunch of other ones to Ping.fm. And what I can do is I can put my status into Ping.fm, hit submit, and all of a sudden I've updated my status on over 15 different websites. I regularly have people say, man, you are all over Plaxo. You're in Plaxo every day. I don't remember the last time I was in Plaxo, okay? But there's ways to use tools to help you get the maximum benefit, maximum exposure and interaction with people, but not allowing them to be the time sink that most people think they are. Okay, so we've talked about the program. How do you sign up for it? A little bit lower on this page. Go ahead and scroll down there, and what you'll see is some information to fill in. All you have to do is fill that in, click the Order Now button, and that's it. And by the way, I want you to know I have a 100% satisfaction guarantee on this. After you go through the program, if you can say, you know what, Andy, I didn't get anything out of this, it didn't help me. If you can say that, you will get 100% of your money back, no questions asked. But I say that confidently because I've had the opportunity to let thousands of people know about this material. And I regularly get feedback of this is helping me. So thank you for joining the growing number of people who are learning the dirty little secret of business. I look forward to hearing how it helps you.